Politics is still a male-dominated game. Even in countries with female heads of government, most ministers tend to be male. But at this week's Youth Parliament, 11 out of the 17 young people were female. Are females outshining the males, or are young men choosing not to participate in opportunities that lead to success?
In youth and community activism work, what we've noticed throughout the years, especially given such high rates in crime last year, is that a lot of the crime and deviant activities are of course happening by our young boys, our young men in society. I think that our young men get lost along the wayside for a plethora of reasons. Some of it is that the lack of empowerment programs get towards young men, or outlets where young men can engage and positively recreate and utilize their energies in a positive way.
If most top leaders of government and big business are still men, why do young men choose to see themselves as marginalized and outside the pale of success?
Some challenges that we as an activism group or within the community, we find the young men tend to stay away from these kinds of activities because they feel like it will put them on the spotlight. I have come across or had conversations with young men within the community who they want to give back sometimes, but afraid that they might be criticized too harshly, or afraid that their contributions would not mean as much.
Drug dealers, street gangs, and gunmen reach out directly to these youngsters, while radio, television, and the internet ply them with music and messages that glorify the pornography of materialism and violence. Social and community activism needs to compete if St. Lucian's success is going to win against the culture of criminal violence.
It's very saddening when you look at the crime statistics and when you look at the when you look at our prison centers and you're seeing so many young men just lost on the wayside. And sometimes it could just be that a young person feels disencouraged for one reason or the other. It could just be for one activist to just take a little extra effort to reach out to a young man, to encourage them to be a part of a club, to encourage them to be part of a program or initiative within their communities or within their schools, just to further encourage our young men to participate.
And one of the best ways to do that is to get real men to show up for vulnerable boys and teach by example what is possible, especially now that St. Lucia is becoming a global brand of excellence.
We don't have as many male role models in society. A lot of these young men don't even know what it is to be a man, or don't even know what masculinity is and what it means to them. So I think that the lack of male role models in society plays a lot on the self-esteem of the young men. These are just some of the things we've noticed as an activism group, and trying our best to see how we can address it and get other actors involved in empowering our young men.
Have grown men given up on young boys? Are young males so lost that even grown men can't save them? Maybe successful men are just too busy being successful to give a damn about young men who would rather smoke and drink their days away. Whatever the answer, the fact is that those who need mentoring the most are not getting the help of those who are best suited to guide them through the minefield of poverty and ignorance to the promised land of peace and prosperity that should be this island's destiny. For Choice News Now, I'm Jason Seaflay.